Denver's auditor says the mayor's mega project to end homelessness isn't properly tracking spending and success. The city defends its work.
This was a time period where we were moving fast. It was a state of emergency.
The Trump administration just approved the sale of this TV station, 9 News, to the parent company of Fox 31, hours after Colorado's Attorney General and others sued to stop it.
We know there's going to be a reduction in journalists, reducing the quality of the product, and we know diverse perspectives won't be communicated.
As we brace for water restrictions after a dry winter, a look at how some of the largest water users in town will or won't be told to conserve. And Denver's moving quickly to remove honors for Cesar Chavez while still celebrating the civil rights movement he led. Thank you for being here tonight. This is Next. Denver's grand plan to end homelessness is expensive. Everyone agrees on that. Yet the Johnson administration and the city auditor do not agree on just how much money has been spent or who's keeping track of it. Our Mark Salinger has been following that money for years and digs into the new audit out today.
Next item, approval of the...
When a city tries to do something that no one else has done before, it's probably going to cost a lot.
This stuff is pretty serious stuff. Can you respond to that?
But 3 years after Mayor Mike Johnston and the city of Denver prioritized solving homelessness, the true cost is still being disputed.
So our view is that it was $158 million. The auditor believes it was $178.
Cole Chandler is the mayor's advisor on homelessness. Today he sat in front of the audit committee as they revealed their findings into the management and funding of the mayor's homelessness initiative, All In Mile High. The auditor's headline, All In Mile High costs millions more than reported and is poorly planned.
We're talking about, $150 million worth of money being spent. It's not a small area.
The audit found the city has no formal process of tracking program expenses, lacks necessary planning to ensure effective use of taxpayer money, and uses data that can't be verified to determine success. The audit made 12 recommendations. The mayor's office disputes 5 of them.
We did not overspend. Every dollar is accounted for, and there are process improvements that we're committed to making as we move forward.
Chandler agrees that once someone moves from shelters into permanent housing, the city no longer tracks their success or outcomes. He says some people become homeless again, but he tells us they aren't recounted in the data. He points to the overall success of the program, decreasing unsheltered homelessness by 45% since 2023.
We've delivered the largest multi-year reduction in unsheltered homelessness in American history. We have a lot to be proud of.
The auditor believes that All In Mile High has a cost $20 million more than the mayor's office says. The audit includes things like rental assistance, emergency hotel vouchers, and cold weather shelters in that total cost. The mayor's office says those costs shouldn't be included because they're not directly related to the mayor's homelessness initiative, Kyle.
We have tracked these dollars because it's just important for people to know where their money is going. At the end of the day, what does it really matter if the money's in one bucket or a different bucket?
So ask the auditor's office that. They say it leads to wasteful spending, the misuse of funds, and not knowing whether this is sustainable. The mayor's office, of course, disputes all of that and says, no, we know exactly where everything's going. But they do agree that they are going to continue to track it and track the spending more closely.
All right. Mark Salinger, appreciate your work on this. The Trump administration just approved the sale of this station, 9 News, and its parent company, Tegna, to Nexstar, the parent company of Fox 31 here in town. Nexstar has previously said that multiple stations in the same city will be combined. President Trump backed the deal to enlarge America's biggest owner of local TV stations, saying it would, quote, help knock out the fake news. Nexstar has declared itself the anti-fake news and celebrated today's approvals from the FCC and Department of Justice by expressing gratitude to President Trump and the head of the FCC. Nexstar and Tegna have said that the acquisition will allow the company to better compete with tech companies and, quote, increase advertising opportunities for local and national brands. Opponents of the deal have said that it will lead to newsrooms closing, fewer viewpoints on television, and increased costs for cable and satellite customers. Democratic attorney generals in 8 states, including Colorado, filed a lawsuit this morning in a last-ditch attempt to block the deal on anti-monopoly grounds. The lawsuit says Nexstar's, quote, pattern of newsroom closures is likely to consolidate newsrooms, eliminating independent sources of local news.
We would have fewer diverse perspectives offered. People would lose jobs all the same time rates will go up because of the fees that cable and satellite companies will be charged by a more concentrated market. That'll get passed on to consumers. This merger is bad news.
The antitrust lawsuit filed in California today says that the deal would allow Nexstar to, quote, gain significant control over editorial policy and have the power to suppress viewpoints and exclude voices that are essential to a robust political and social discourse. 9 News went on the air in Colorado in 1952, and the TV station was purchased by Gannett, the predecessor of 9 News' current owner, Tegna, in 1978. Apart from the general comment that multiple stations in the same market will be combined, Nexstar has not said publicly what will happen with 9 News or when. Colorado's House lawmakers are in the middle of a marathon debate over a bunch of gun control bills today. These are Democrat-backed bills that would put new restrictions on both gun owners and firearms dealers and expand the power of courts to temporarily confiscate a person's guns. One proposal would require background checks and minimum age requirements for gun barrel purchases. Democrats are also running a proposal to expand the list of people who can request an emergency protection order, which allows a court to temporarily confiscate someone's guns if they're deemed to be a danger to themselves or others. A third bill would add new restrictions on firearms dealers. It would require dealers to submit security plans to the state and fine dealers who don't comply with state requirements. Republicans in the House offered up dozens of amendments, most of which were shot down. They're in the minority there. They argue that the bills target law-abiding gun owners in rural Colorado and are not effective at stopping criminals.
Let us please quit being hard on those that are responsible gun owners and law-abiding citizens, and let's start spending more time on cracking down on criminals that are actually creating these problems. It matters to rural communities.
Those bills will all likely pass over Republican opposition and then face legal challenges from gun rights advocates when they become law. While cities and water districts across our state are scrambling to deal with Colorado's serious drought, we know that everyday Coloradans will be asked to conserve water this summer. As for the big-time water users, our Spencer Soyser found Aurora is taking a harder line than Denver.
There's a whole lot of juice in downtown Denver. No, really, you may be surprised how many data centers are up and running in the city. The old gas and electric building at 15th and Champa downtown, a CoreSite data center. Around the corner, another under construction. 15 data centers use Denver water. Data centers are buildings that store and run the computers and servers that power the internet, apps, and digital services we use every day. They're frequently controversial because some of them use a bunch of water for cooling to keep the servers from overheating. Denver Water says most of the data centers in its system use about 10,000 gallons a day, which it says is on par with other commercial customers.
This is the second worst snowpack that we've seen for this time of year.
And while Denver Water is preparing for likely water restrictions, they'll have the same rules for all customers. That's different than, say, Aurora Water.
We have now in code what is our large water user guide, and what it does is it effectively prohibits anybody that is going to be an extremely large water user.
Shawnee Klein with Aurora Water says the city's large water use guide from last year now limits what can open in the city.
We do have some data centers that have recently come into our service territory, and the reason why they're able to come in is that they're not using evaporative cooling.
Denver Water says it understands that data centers present new and complex issues and says it will continue to assess their potential impacts on infrastructure and communities. But under drought conditions, big or small, they'll want everyone to reduce usage.
The biggest way we balance that again is with the water use restrictions.
It's probably worth noting that the mayor of Denver just announced a couple of weeks ago a moratorium on new data centers in the city as they explore some of the impacts they have here, both on resources and environmental outputs too, Kyle.
I feel like anytime you've got a drought situation, there's always going to be finger pointing, right? And I don't want to dismiss people's concerns if they're a small-time water user saying, but this industry uses so much more. Fact is, everybody's in this together, and some municipalities will make people share sacrifice.
Right, and we've seen a lot of people write to us here at our next email saying, hey, what about the golf courses? Interesting, Aurora Water pointed out today, there's going to be no new golf courses approved in Aurora, at least for a while.
No new data centers in Denver for the time being, no new golf in Aurora. If those are your things, sorry. Spencer Soisher, thank you. The Coloradans who help survivors of child abuse and domestic violence tell me that they are dealing with two challenges at once lately. They're seeing more severe levels of trauma, while they also are dealing with lower levels of federal government funding to help people. So that's the news, right? Here's what I love about this program and all of you. We don't just watch terrible things happen in our community and say, that's the news for tonight. No. We can help the situation. We're going to help the situation. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the nonprofit Sungate Kids, whose advocates work with families in Aurora and Arapahoe County. They offer therapy and parent coaching. They do the forensic interviews so that kids and families can get justice after abuse. And their child abuse training programs teach adults how to best talk to kids to find out whether they're safe, to prevent child abuse before it happens. Sungate's been around for decades, and their leaders tell me they are seeing families come in with a level of trauma they've never seen. Families that are also struggling economically right now, having issues putting food on the table. And that can sometimes lead people to stay in abusive situations. Sungate Kids is there to support survivors with whatever they need, and we can support them. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get the link to donate. 7,500 of you have used that same link to sign up to make a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. Put in your info one time, pick an amount. Each month your donations automatically split among all the nonprofits we feature. That has added almost $50,000 to each of your weekly campaigns lately. Environmental groups say federal and state regulators aren't doing enough to hold Suncor accountable for pollution.
The movement was never about one man, but it was always about one big idea.
Boy, America yeeted Cesar Chavez pretty quickly, huh? Denver says it's ditching his holiday, renaming his park, while still honoring the farm worker movement. That's next. May all of you be so fortunate to work with a guy like Chris Bianchi at least once in your life. Chris, bring us the sun. The heat's here.
I mean, this is ridiculous, Kyle. This is ridiculous. I've run out of adjectives, expressions to describe how ridiculously warm this winter season has been. And here it's mid-March, and I'm sitting out here, and yes, I'm comfortable. There's no doubt about that. You know what? Wearing a swimsuit. I'm doing my 9-pin on, by the way, in case you can see there. We got this lovely flamingo shirt, and it's also warmer here in Denver than it was in Miami, basically all of Florida today. What's going on here, Mother Nature? Look at this high temperature of 85 today. Hottest March temperature on record, the old record, 84, set back in 1971. That's kaput. And not only are we going to be talking about, did we have a record high temperature today? Warmest March temperature on record. By the way, records date back to 1872 in Denver, over 150 years. That's before Colorado was even state. It's going to be even hotter tomorrow. Greeley, new warmest March temperature on record for you today. Fort Collins, same idea for you. Lamar, Pueblo, same idea for you as well. And it's all thanks to this big honking ridge of high pressure across the southwest United States. And this is not just a ridge of high pressure. This is a heat dome. This is something we are used to seeing in mid-June, not in the middle of March. This is usually prime snowstorm season. Not this year. And it gets even hotter tomorrow. We're gonna be at 87 tomorrow. And then on Saturday, even hotter than this. Highs, what you're looking at on this map, that is our, 87 is our average high temperature in early July. So this is a mid-summer sort of map that I'm showing you here in the middle of March. And that 7-day forecast, even hotter on Saturday with a high temperature of 90 degrees. Our earliest 90-degree temperature in Denver was April the 30th in 1992. If we get to 90 degrees, by the way, our average first 90 plus is on June 10th. We get there on Saturday, that'd be 6 weeks earlier than our current earliest 90 plus on record. So we're talking about truly historic heat, unlike anything we've seen on record, not just for Denver, but across the state of Colorado.
Chris Bianchi needs to get some of those sunballs on the forecast on those legs of his. Federal appeals court is deciding whether to bring back a lawsuit by environmental groups against Suncor over ongoing pollution violations. These groups, Earth Justice, Colorado Green Latino, Sierra Club, and others sued the energy company in 2024. They claimed that state and federal regulators weren't doing enough to protect the people who live in the shadow of the refinery in Commerce City. A federal district court dismissed the case, agreed with Suncor that Colorado and the feds have been enforcing pollution laws and citizen groups don't need to get involved. State regulators have fined Suncor millions of dollars for repeated air permit violations. Lawyers for the enviro groups argue that the fines aren't doing anything because Suncor just treats the fine as a business expense.
They make billions and billions in profit every single year. A few $1 million isn't really going to change that. And so if Suncor has to pay $2 million in fines every 3 or 4 years or something along those lines, it seems that that may just be a cost of doing business to them.
If the appeals court revives the case, the environmental groups want the district court to force Suncor to get to the heart of why they continue to violate pollution limits and then make changes. A decision could be months away. A day after new allegations of sexual abuse against Cesar Chavez, Denver moves quickly to rename the park in his honor to try to preserve the legacy of the farm workers movement. Do you enjoy this program? Watching it with your eyes? Might I recommend 9 News Plus, streaming for free each night, or for your ears, wherever you get podcasts. Denver's leaders are moving quickly today to remove references to Latino civil rights icon Cesar Chavez after detailed allegations came to light accusing him of sexual abuse against women and underage girls decades ago. Latino community leaders are working to honor the legacy of the farm workers movement in different ways. Mayor Mike Johnson and City Council President Amanda Sandoval announced today that Denver is going to celebrate Si Se Puede Day on March 31st, the day that previously was held to honor Chavez. The city will honor the farm workers movement and the women and girls who helped lead it, like did Laura Huerta, who came up with the tagline, Si Se Puede. City will also rename Cesar Chavez Park. Workers removed the park signage. Somebody had already defaced it overnight. They took down a bust of Chavez as well. Somebody's got a suggestion for the park name. The city says the park and the holiday will be formally renamed after community input.
The labor movement, the farm worker movement, that history is bigger than any one person. It belongs to the people, La Raza.
We will not let the sins of one man set back the commitment of a community who has fought for decades to deliver on the fundamental belief that everyone is entitled to justice.
Si Se Puede Day will be a full-day paid city holiday March 30th. Cities mark the holiday on the last Monday in March since 2002. A community march and rally that would have honored Chavez on April 11th has just straight up been canceled. Lots of feedback from you tonight. We'll share some of it next. Appreciate all the many folks who wrote in tonight about the Trump administration's approval of the deal to sell 9 News today to the parent company of Fox 31. No way that we could get to all the comments. Lisa, Janet, Barbara, Gina, Ripley, Bill, Maggie, Dennis, Karen, Wendy, Megan, those are the names I just jotted down there in the last commercial break. Lauren writes in to say, sweet, now we don't have to watch and listen to you lying. Emily writes in to say, I am praying big time for all of you guys over at 9 News. You guys have been part of my life, all of my life. I was born here in 1972. Emily says, I cannot imagine not having the professionalism, honesty, and integrity of Channel 9 News. Emily, I appreciate that very much, as does the rest of the team. Not in a position to really talk about what the future is going to hold. I'll tell you what I've told the next team. We are going to try to do meaningful work for as long as we can do. We do it because we know that it matters to the community. And on a personal note, Colorado is my home. It's my family's home, and hope to find a way to contribute for many years to come. See you next time.